Welcome to a really interesting episode of Light & Co. So this episode has been brewing for quite some time, and this time you're going to be introduced to my husband, perfumer Clive Newland. I'll just say we've been together 37 years. And Clive, it is a privilege for the very first time to be interviewing you in this way.
Thank you, and good to be on your show.
It's a pleasure to have you on my show. All right, so Clive, we're going to be talking specifically about your capacity to work with essential oils and your capacity to read bodies and understand and listen to bodies and read their energetic field. You have a gift, okay? You have a gift of sensitivity that I've not seen anywhere else. So I'll just say that up front as somebody who lives with you, but somebody's observed you for a long time. And we will come to talk about our signature oil, or your signature oil in a way, which is the rose, and the energy of the rose and the relevance of this energy now for these times moving forward. But before we go there, Clive, I know you've been doing this for a very, very long time, but what brought you to this work? What brought you to the body work? What brought you to this expression, in some ways, of you and your true self and your genius? Talk to me.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, my own interest in things, my own experimentation in things is a primary catalyst for a lot of everything I've done. So bodywork, I grew up in a time where touch wasn't really much in my world at all, in my family. It wasn't part of the culture. It wasn't part of the experience of an English sort of background and coming into the world of Australia. So animals, sport, that was how you sort of touched. So touch hunger is a very interesting thing. And so massage and bodywork came into my life in my mid-late 20s. And it was like an interesting sort of revelation of actually feeling, having somebody else assist me to feel myself in a way that I'd never experienced before. And just through, massage, Swedish massage and some Oriental massage. And I was in a career at that stage that was distinctly different to the world of touch. And
which was?
Oh, look, I was a senior constable in the Victorian Police Service or Force.
Distinctly different.
Yeah, well, I did 7 years there, and I also did, before that, 5 years in the Army Reserve. So I was one of those people who put themselves on the thin green or the thin blue line between conflicts, peace and conflict. So in some way, I live in that world of peace and conflict, hover between the world of peace and conflict. So I became highly sensitive to discordant energy or distrust, or I could sense particularly when I was in the coppers, sense when someone was lying and sense when someone was deceiving. That sensitivity helped me in that professional life, but also in my personal life, that inner life, I was seeking or looking at other ways of how to understand me, how I operated, how I function. Why am I here on this planet? Why am I here in this time? So these were little quiet things going on, ticking around. So guess what? Myself and the police service, we parted company. I could no longer go in a particular direction. I had a marriage collapse. I was 27, 28. So everything was up in the air. So I figured now's the time to go and do something about it. So I went off to learn about things. This was 1987. Okay, I'm going to jump forward here. My interest is really in the human energetic field. So human energetic field, I'm attracted to certain qualities. I always found I could find someone as a mentor somewhere out there. And so as I learned, the people I learnt from were brilliant in their field, and I paid money to learn this. I sort of jumped through education. I didn't find formal education really useful to me. I didn't really find formal medicine terribly useful to me. So I went and found people who were exceptional in their field. And
you mean in the terms of body work or
body work and essential oils as they would become, as I would know them. But what I know today as essential oils are very different in the marketplace to what they used to be. And the quality end has gone, it's a very broad market now, and it's full of all sorts of other stuff. So I'm loath now to even talk in that language, but I'll cover it with you here as part of the exploration and the change that's occurred over 40 or 50 years, right? But today I focus much more in what's called 100% pure and naturals. They have a particular set of qualities, and I'm tuned to that. I have achieved a level of, well, I had a level of sensitivity that I learnt from all my years of life, but how to hone that, where to direct it. So I have this, a bit like a high quality chef has with a restaurant. When you have high quality ingredients, you don't have to do much to it. You just have to respect them. You have to honor them. You have to present them in a way that works and works for me. So, in that way it had to work for me because I had certain health issues I needed to resolve and sort out, skin issues and other things. And it did, and it has done that brilliantly.
come back? I just want to bring you back to the body work. So, because I know you've done 20 years of body work.
Yeah.
So coming back to that level of sensitivity that you discovered that you had when working with others, what was that? What did you discover about your ability to listen?
Yeah. Well, part of the thing there was, and this was part of a person I found with the oils, was I learnt through their assistance to be able to communicate directly with an oil like you would as a human, speak to another human. I learnt to communicate with this quality of an oil, like a sandalwood or a jasmine or what we would call those things, but from an energetic field level, and was able to dialogue or converse on how best to use and when to use. I did that because I'd learnt how to do body work in a way of not imposing.
Yeah.
So I learned to listen and wait for a response and inquire or use intuition at a telepathic level to communicate and experience this as well. We're not just material, we are levels and fields of energy. And some of that can be called etheric, some of that can be called astral, some of that can be called other dimensional things. But we operate across, in the computer world, they call it platforms. But in this world, I'll just call it fields of energy, human energetic field. And we are translating and conversing with, converting, transducing, transmitting. We're doing whole lots of things, which is lost in modern science, which is lost in a lot of modern education. It's actually pushed to the side. So I'm much more interested in spiritual science, where science and spirit come together. So that's why I call it spiritual science. But it's the human energetic field is where we experience it from. So we live in this plane. So for me, that sensitivity and respect for it and the honoring of that helped me to be able to converse. And this plant knowledge or this aromatic knowledge, because I'm dealing with aromatics, aromatic oils, and to say this now, essential oils still are for the high quality. They represent the immune system of the plant. Humans have an immune system. It's what makes us quite unique. And so the plant world can help us be very healthy in this world. It's a form of medicine because medicine is to heal. That was what medicine really was, the art of healing. But it's shifted somewhat today. So I'm mindful of the origins of where I operate from and what I'm here to bring forward and what I'm here to present to the world and how I interact with the plant world. And we'll talk at some stage here about the roses, the Damascene roses, centifolia roses, but we'll say with this Damascene roses, as to why roses, for instance, and what they represent at the energetic level, and why I chose them for you in making the gorgeous, well, it wasn't called gorgeous, I made you a product, and then all our customers said, they helped us name it. They just said, that's gorgeous.
So you mentioned customers. So tell me about the apothecary. So, and just for those people listening, so back in 1998, I remember Clive came to me very distinctly and said, we're going to do this. He said, I've seen a whole lot of bottles. We're going to open an apothecary. And we did in Noosa. And long story short, but the reason behind the apothecary, the aroma apothecary, was absolutely unique. Tell me why it was so unique. What was the reason behind it?
Well, it started off as New Aroma Apothecary and massage room because I brought my bodywork skills to it. And then the idea of the aroma apothecary was to allow people to experience firsthand the highest quality oils I could find in the world, that through my nose and through my usage, so I could introduce that in a public way to people to come in and buy a drop at a time if they wanted to, and just experience something for themselves, have their own, like I had, have their own opportunity, have their own unique connection to something that was often just sold out in the marketplace there as a commodity, as something you buy at the pharmacy or the chemist or at the market. And what was called an essential oil of this or that often wasn't. It was often a mix of other chemicals or other things that was just called a name and wasn't. So I wanted to bring two things. I wanted to bring truth into the story, and I wanted to bring beauty into the story. And there's, a symbolism in that for me of truth and beauty. I'm a pretty much a down that line sort of guy. And truth is really important if you're talking. You don't want to deceive people. I don't like being deceived. I want to have a clear, coherent conversation with someone without trickery. So we have a better relationship, but also to make that a beautiful experience. So the shop was exquisite. We had Italian tiles on the wall. We had mirrors. It was just beautiful. People would walk in there and go, they just almost cry walking in there because we were so distinctly different. And the aromatics we had going on in there was just beautiful. It would waft out down the street. People would find us by just following their nose. When back in the day, when we used to have credit card swipers, we go down to the bank to cash them in. The bank, the teller, would lean forward and just count that paper and count the cash that we were taking in. And they go, oh, this smells so beautiful. So it just shows you how aromatic oils soak into everything. So the other thing to do with sensitivity is subtlety. I really believe in subtlety. You just want to have enough, not whole lots. I mean, our product that I make, a little bit goes a long way. And if you just use enough, not more, enough, figure out what enough is for you, geez, it goes a long way. And look, I'm speaking as an Australian fella. I'm not Swiss. I'm not French. I'm not pretending to be more than I am. I don't have a billion-dollar platform to speak from. I just speak from where I view it from. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to do that. I'm still here. I'm still functioning. I'm as healthy as I can be. You are too. And that's what I want to bring to my clients, to my customers, is to bring them what I use, what I would select for myself, I offer them. I don't make them a different product to what I would use. And if it doesn't make it past my nose, if it doesn't make it past me, I'm the bunny. If it doesn't make it past me, it doesn't make it to the shelf. You won't see it. So that's the criteria, the quality control and the direction I work from.
And I might add here, as somebody who's lived with you for a very long time, I'm acutely aware of your sensitivity around aromas and smells. It's always a challenge to be around other people when they're wearing synthetic perfumes or to go to hotels or whatever that is. And so I've always gone with you because I've always learned from you and experienced more and more and more of the purity and the exquisite, as you said, beauty of the real stuff, so that everything else falls away. So that there's this simplicity, there's this elegance, there's this intelligence with whatever blend you're doing, because it's actually the purity of the whole oil that is speaking to me and my body. That's how I receive it now.
Yeah.
And it's because I've been around you. And one of the points that we've got to is that, and this is the first time that I've interviewed you, is that I've been privy to your world and your inner world for a long time. And you've not shared it publicly with others. But I think that's about to change. So it's now bringing people into your own private world, and you're revealing that, because this knowledge, this connection, this access has been there for a long time. And I think you're now ready to share that, because it is time, and particularly around the roses, particularly around the intelligence of that. So could you speak directly to the roses here, that just focus in on those? Why, how did you create the serum, and what is the whole energy, or what is the whole story behind the roses for you?
Okay, there's a few ways to answer this, but you were critical to that because in the shop, and I knew you for a long time, and you were a discerning woman who had dabbled in her own skincare purchases and uses and makeup and foundation and all the things you do. And from a fella's perspective, sitting back watching his partner, wife do that, you don't really speak up and say too much, because that's your choice, and she knows what she needs, sort of thing, sort of approach. But you're right. I was sensitive to certain smells, and that has only increased because the volume of smells being pumped out at the moment has increased exponentially the last 30, 40 years. It's just incredible. I think there's a new chemical virtually created every day in the world. It's gangbusters.
Part of raising your consciousness as your frequency is moving towards living things rather than synthetic, because the body is vibrating, and it's like, okay, so what does it need now that's going to feed the cells? What does it need now that's going to light it up? And so it starts to seek truth. I'll bring you back to this track of like how you created it. You said, when are you going to stop wearing that cover stick? And I said to you, all right, Smarty Pants, when you make me a cream that works. And that's where the challenge was. I threw it out to you and said, okay, make me something.
It became a situation of understanding you as an archetype, what you were, what you are, and what your skin needed from the perspective of the different aromatics I could choose from. And roses, the Damascene roses particularly, the Otto and the Absolute, were primal for you, like they were just spot on. These rose oils represent particular universal qualities. If you read certain information out there in the world, you're talking about the 528, the Hertz reading on oils. That's the general comment made about particular high quality rose oils. I would dare to say that these were higher, but I haven't had a Hertz reading on them, so I just go by my own statement. And the aromatic is the key. It's the quality of the aromatic. You are at that number, if you like, if you're interested in that sort of thing. At that number, you're dealing with a divine aromatic. Like I said before, science, I talk about science and the spirit. When you bring those two together, you're bringing a divinity together with the practical, with the tangible physical. This is the tangible physical. This is where we show ourselves to each other. But there's these other energetic fields that we have, which are the mediums of which we're communicating through and living through as well. And going back to bodywork, that's what you also work with as well. You're working with these off-the-body fields as well. And it's having that sensitivity, because you can miss stuff. You can, as a human, we store information in the field. we have epigenetic information in our field that we bring forward through our family lineage or into the future for our future family lineage, and we can clean things up in this time. We can sort things out in this time, in this world, for the past and for the future, so we live in the present. So that's where my interest is. So the interesting thing is when you apply an aromatic like the roses, the serum, which would become your product, it's that you're bringing yourself into present time, and anything else that's of a bother or of a concern or other things just falls away, because you're bringing yourself to the present energy of yourself. You are conscious with your breath, conscious with your beingness. I know these are sort of words that get thrown around like anything these days, but it's like, in the truth of it, you are breathing life with your own life, with the life of this plant that is this rose, these petals. And what's intriguing about this serum is the volume of roses that's in it. Now, we move now into talking about not just why you got the roses, but this is about receiving, a woman receiving. Because as a woman, you were pretty hardy, pretty tough. You weren't used to a lot of compliments. Hey, you live in the world, women don't generally get compliments unless somebody wants something. But for you to be able to receive you from the world around you, from the highest, from the most beautiful of nature, I cannot describe to people the smell of these roses. They are not like your grandmother's roses. People, no, it smells like my grandmother. No, it doesn't. These are Damascene roses, the otter and absolute. They represent the purity with the earth. They are, in their way, perfection. It's what we are, what you are. And to remind ourselves of that in this day, in this world, to actually inhale that, to put that onto the skin, to allow that to go onto the organs that are on the skin and through the hands, to allow that to absorb through the body, day in, day out, year in, year out, for 20 or 30 or 40 years, not have to change the routine, to actually imbibe that into your being, to imbibe that into your cellular knowledge, to feed the 30 or 40 or 50 trillion cells in your body, day in, day out, to enable you to actually experience, because what these petals are and these roses, they're drawing the cosmic light into them. They're drawing the fields of energy coming through and capturing it and holding it. And the people who grow it and the people who translate this through either extraction or through the distillation, through just the distillation process, to enable this to be present for you to use on your body, to actually charge yourself with that, charge every cell with that. It recognizes that we are living in the present time. And this is bringing in the light of this time, not something manufactured, not something partly created with this or that, but the whole oil coming to you with all of its compounds.
And what I get too, because when I had to experience all of this to be able to get it on an intellectual but also a physical level, is the intention that you brought to it when you communicated with the plant to make this serum. It wasn't to impose yourself. It was more as a gentle invitation for me to come forward to receive that, because I, as you said, I was a bit of a hard nut and not so good at receiving. So
very good at giving.
Sorry?
Very good at giving.
Yeah, very
open-hearted, on your sleeve, heart on your sleeve. Look, I've known lots of women like that, lots of good-hearted women, tough. I mean, roses can be treated the harshest and they'll still flower. The geranium that's in there, the myrrh that's in there, to stay with me. So the rose itself is, the word today is resilience. The rose is extraordinarily that and way beyond. The rose is exquisite. It is beauty in a plant. It is a queen of the plant world. the aromatic signature is outstanding if you have access to it. I'm very fortunate I've been able to do that. I've listened to what I was asked to do. And so I sort of view this as a benefit. I've kept it really quiet generally because most people don't get it. Most people spend more money on their car or on their mortgage or on their, stuff they inject than actually on the energetic field that they are. And these exquisite plant oils, when applied, the base is a hazelnut oil, an exquisite Italian hazelnut oil. These different things act as this wonderful mediator for this quality to go on to your body. You are participating with it. It is an exquisite experience. And it's not just, as you said before, you have to get your head around it, your mind. It's not an intellectual exercise. It sort of is when you purchase, but most purchases are emotional. This is beyond emotion. This is deeply into the psyche of who you are. Can you receive from life? Will you receive from life? I will. Absolutely. It is exquisite. And it allows the oxygenation to occur in your body. It's like it helps that sense of a fresh bloom that we often see with women when they become pregnant. It's that bloom. Why is it a bloom? Because it's actually interacting. On my product, I state the contraindications for this product, for this rose. I'm very particular in that because high quality rose like this is contraindicated for people with, cardiovascular issues, epilepsy, and I don't recommend it for people who are pregnant. I really don't. But the effect is the bloom comes to your body at different ages because you are creating that. Now, why do I have those contraindications? Because it's real. This is a real plant. A lot of rose is sold out there in the market that doesn't have those contraindications. Do you know what that tells me, Dee? It's not real rose. Because otherwise you would do that as a disclaimer, as a helper to the customer, the client, to know what they're dealing with.
And a duty of care.
A duty of care, absolutely. I'll give you the opposite of that. If you walk into a supermarket, and I did, back in the day when we opened the shop, I thought, because I'll get to know this, you go down the hair colour aisle for men or for women, you go down the hair colour aisle, and on the box, black box label, using this product may cause severe allergic reaction or death. That's the warning, but people do it all the time. Okay, there's the warning. My warning is more towards your benefit rather than to taking you out. So I'm interested in your overall health, and a little bit goes a long way, and that you can use this day in, day out, year in, year out. Don't have to change because your body is interacting with the cosmos because you are a human energetic field. And I'm wanting to actually help that to occur more easily rather than cause problems for you that inhibit that process.
And I want to add in here too, because you're speaking specifically that you made this for me.
Yes.
But then a few years later, you started using it. And so what happened was we set up this reciprocal field, this heart field between the two of us.
Just on that, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle the serum on my skin. I was way too sensitive. I had to make another product for sensitive skin for me, which took me 2 years. And then I could switch to the gorgeous. And I've used it ever since. But I had to build up that capacity in my skin. So again, the very things I've just explained before applied to me as well. So I had to build up that in myself to be able to handle it. But there's other people out there sensitive. I'm sensitive to a whole lot of things. I mean, there's 30% of the population at any one time is sensitive to a whole lot of things.
Yeah. So coming back to roses on a man, because the chemistry is different and it does something different to the aroma, but it's created this wonderful connection between the two of us when you use it and I use it. It's this enhancement of this field that we have, or the connection That's what I've noticed. And, I particularly notice when, because you have a bald head and so, I'll come out and sometimes you've just applied the roses and I just want to stand next to you. I just want to just inhale near you. Now, I could do that with no other product or perfume that I know of in the market, but just that energetically just is just the most exquisite moment in my day when you do that. And you may or may not be aware of it, but it's an inhale. It's like, and so to have that connection with your partner, when a man wears roses, so because we're not saying it's just for women, is just, one of the bylines that we've had with this product is that we're bringing heaven to earth.
Well, it is, we're bringing heaven to earth because it's that connection, but it's also the product, the gorgeous, is like, it's for lovers and lovers of roses,
Yes.
And that's probably, I reckon, probably about 70% of the world population. Certainly the women and probably about 50% of men sit in that category, potentially. But again, you've got to walk past all these other psychological walls or intellectual walls that say that, oh, well, this product, I prefer that brand because this the things, or this sort of stuff goes on, rather than actually looking at it from the human energetic field. And so I go to a really big space to consider that. Because if I stay in a very narrow window, which is what generally marketing and commercialization out there does, it really inhibits your thinking. It really makes you narrow. It doesn't actually help you to figure stuff out. It actually confuses you, and a lot of stuff does. So this is all about expansion. You have to expand, you have to receive, you have to expand, receive, you expand, you receive. But it's also that you're gifting to yourself. You're giving to yourself. I'm giving to my body to help it be as energetically as healthy as it can be by being able to receive these other qualities in so that I can receive more of the information that I'm required to handle for the next part. You can view that on a daily basis, monthly, yearly, decade-wise, whatever, lifetime. And I'm really grateful again that I've had these people I've met along the way to help steer this and steer that as I've asked questions. I've always asked questions, how to improve something. So I asked you a question. You responded with, okay, Smarty, make me something. I did. We couldn't name it. But our clients walked in the door and they put it on, God, that's gorgeous, that's gorgeous. So we'll call it gorgeous. And we have. And this is the interesting thing. This is the challenge. I challenge this to any woman and I challenge this to any man. If you love roses, right? The serum itself, we have as its registered trademark or as its trademark, it's called over 100 bunches of real roses in a bottle. Double blended serum. Yep.
Yep.
We agree? Yep.
Yep.
Over 100 bunches. So I'm going to challenge everybody to say, okay, 100 bunches. How many times has someone bought you a bunch of roses in your life? Here, you get to squirt a little bit onto the palm of your hand. You've not just got one bunch or 10, you've got over 100 bunches of real roses available to you to put onto your body each day, each night, anytime you like. You can be massaged with it. It's exquisite if you wish. Who can receive 100 bunches? I mean, we think, oh, that's royalty, or you have to be a billionaire or a sheikh or whatever, a trillionaire even to handle that, or a super indulgent or something. No, you don't. This is just high functional health. It's actually putting your health at the key place of your engagement with the world, your skin, looking after it, looking after yourself, looking after the field, but you are allowing yourself to receive every day 100 bunches of real roses, not ones that don't smell. This is aromatic ones, Damascena ones, the Otto, the distillation, or the absolute from the extraction. It's heaven. It's heaven. It is heavenly. And you're bringing that together, you and heaven together. And I go, Who wouldn't want that? Anyway, I guess that's what the story is, that you can. It's available. You just have to say yes. You just have to allow yourself to receive. And can you receive? And each day you receive a little bit more, and it can be micro fractions. But it's like somehow you get there, and look at you now, look at me now, and you go, this is what it looks like years later. And you go,
yeah, I mean, this is the funny thing. It's like, okay, so I'll put it from the view of being a user, because as you know, I just turned 70. So there's this sense of like, what I've experienced over the years is an accumulation of being able to light myself up from the inside out, so that there is no barrier between me and myself and the fullest expression of myself. That's radiance. Okay, so
yes.
they always talk about radiance in a jar. It's like you just can't, you can't write this stuff or make it up. So it's like what that does is literally unlock that light and my personal expression, so that I have never had to, it's like this ebullient expression of me is what you get. And the roses, it is the daily use of the roses that has enabled me to be this, so that I've never thought of doing any level of cosmetic surgery or anything of exterior to myself. It's like what you see is what you get. And in that, I'm able to receive you, and you're able to receive me with no barrier whatsoever. And so there's this union that's been created, and at the bottom of it, at the foundation of it, are these roses, which you gifted me. And it took me a long time, but once I received and I surrendered and I rolled over, it was like, oh, wow. Okay. It revealed.
How did that feel when you did that? How did that feel when you did that? When you actually got the input, you went, oh God, why have I been resisting this, all this, like micro resistance?
It was utter freedom.
Yeah.
No fear of anything else anymore. I couldn't judge myself anymore.
Yeah.
I could not, because any dark place within me had been filled, because there was nothing, because I became the energy of that, which is the energy of love. And so there was nothing to judge, nothing to fix. That was only full expression from that point. And I credit your chipping away, but also the energy of those roses to enable me to be that, to therefore hold enough light to be able to do that I work, to be that. And now bringing you into that, recognizing and acknowledging you within that we can do this work for others, to bring others to that place. Yeah. That's why we're here.
Well, to complement that, what you've done is you sort of done that thing where you put the feminine part of yourself and the masculine part of yourself back into harmony. I've done the same. We sort of met each other on that pathway. I've sort of put the feminine side, the masculine side together. And so we come each in a whole way. And then part of that is then clearing the other things off on the field through that. And like you said, you've filled yourself up. So at the cell level, the mitochondrial level, you've enabled the oxygen flow to be so active and so beneficial that lighting up from inside of yourself, it's sort of muscularly wise, they talk about piezoelectric, every cell generating certain energy and things. Well, that's part of that lighting up process. So things have got out of the way. You've just allowed that to occur because you allowed resistance and, like you said, judgment, others' judgment as well, to fall away because something bigger is going on. And that's an extraordinarily beneficial, sometimes hard place to be because other people don't necessarily get it. And that was part of my experience. Other people don't necessarily get it. It's a hard thing to explain for someone, but sometimes they just want it, but they don't want to do the work, the time it takes.
Well, it sets up like a magnetic field.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want what she's having, but I don't know what it is. And so you're just explaining that in sense of, yes, this takes discipline and it takes an approach where many other things fall away.
Yeah. Well, we had it in the shop, people would spend more money on their car tires than they would on themselves. They would buy cheap stuff from the supermarket or from the pharmacy down over here or now on the internet and figure out stuff themselves. Now there's all these other things they can whack themselves with, inject in or whatever. And you go, why do you do that? It's creating all these other things. You don't know what it is. I just wish people would be willing to experiment a little bit more in the world of beauty and truth rather than what's on the internet and what's cheap or what's the fad. Because look, the human body, the reason the skincare works for you and it works for me is the human body doesn't work on fads. It doesn't work on all this stuff. The hormonal system often takes between 3 to 6 to 9 months to change. It's a very clever system. It sort of knows someone's going to try and trick it from here. It's a smart system. So you have to be consistent, and consistency takes discipline, and you get results with that. You talk to any athlete, you talk to any person who understands, any human who understands that. You look at a garden, it takes discipline to do things. A job takes discipline to do things, to do it well. You have to build that in. But that approach comes from working with your intuition and your hunches. For blokes, it's the gut. For women, it's intuition. Well, it's actually can be both. Guys have intuition as well. And that inspiration, that creativity to solve a situation. But you have to see you are bigger than the problem. You have to bring it into a perspective and you go, well, okay, I can do this, I can do that, and then start doing something with it. And so you apply a level of science to it. You observe, you do something, and you observe, and you do something, and you observe. That's what science is, really. And you apply science. However, you need to consider applying a more spiritual science because we are living in a multi-dimensional world. The human energetic field connects through a whole lot of things. This planet is full of whole lots of planes that operate. And to stay in harmony, to stay in balance, to stay centered, to stay in charge of that balance requires a level of consciousness, a level of acumen, a level of intelligence to do that. What has helped me, and I'm going to dare say helped you, Dee, and our various clients, is that you are doing that at a cellular level daily, and you're assisting that process by using the intelligence of nature, and in this case coming from roses and certain other oils coming into this and through the carrier oil as well. Because in nature is at its heart the intelligence system of everything. It's where it all sits. So it's like most people are trying to play with the technology rather than recognizing that this body is an ultimate technology. It is your ultimate technology because it is yours. But most people go, I don't want it. I want that one. I want that one. I'd rather have that body. I'd rather look like him or like her. Well, how do I do that? And it's like, no, you are it. You have it. Giving that some attention, giving that some focus, the body then will respond with assistance. But you've got to work with it. You've got to listen to it. You've got to pay attention and do the work to help it through. And it's simple in many ways. But,
Yeah, it is, because there becomes a level of refinement.
Yeah.
So that the more refined you become, the more coherent you become, so many other things fall away. So
Yeah.
you're able to you reach for that which will fill you up rather than anything else. So I want to just sum up here, because as you would be gathering, there's just so many directions that Clive can take a conversation in.
Sorry.
No, it's rich. The library, the living library that is Clive, that I have daily access to, is quite extraordinary. But the world of plants is his, and he's like an ambassador for the plants. And I know at some point in the apothecary, when we had something like 150, oils you had to play with, which we fundamentally still have. And so I'll finish this by saying, and I think this probably there needs to be a part 2 in terms of so what you did with the roses, then there's all the other expressions that you have with with the lotuses, with the sandalwoods, with the, you know, all the other blends that you have access to, or the oils that you work with to create other blends, bespoke blends, etc., blends for the air. There's a whole rich conversation in there as well. But I want to thank you because you take your role as an ambassador for the plant world very seriously. And I think we're all grateful that you are now happy to start talking about it. And so I welcome, you know, people want to visit us at manifestooflight.earth. I'll put that down there, manifestooflight.earth. One of the things that we've learned to do together, which is a really interesting experience to have, is we can actually do an aromatic session over Zoom, because you can sit there and we go through all the different blends that we have with a client, but I can check the resonance of each blend relevant to what it is that their body needs. So we've been able to take this art a lot more by reading the energetic field and the connection to those particular blends as to what that person requires. And so far it's been 100% spot on. We've been doing this for 5 or 6 years. So there's many ways that you can work with us in terms of delving in and being curious about the conversation we've just had and how that might apply to you, to your home, to your family, to your daily life. That's the invitation now moving forward. And as we know, you always make things in small batches, Clive. Everything is seasonal. If it doesn't get past your nose, it doesn't make the shelf, or it definitely doesn't make it to another client. So I just want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for your diligence, and I want to thank you for your discipline and your patience and your persistence and your inability to compromise. You have never compromised your integrity in any of this. For that, I say thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you wanted to add, Clive, just there?
Look, yeah, there is one thing.
Yep.
You're working with a level of memory. The body has memory. The cellular life has memory. You come in with memory. There's memory in the fields around you. And so what you're dealing with here for me with the plant world, if you're interested in this, is you're working with an eternal memory. And it's really an interesting opportunity to receive yourself and also give to yourself and also give back. And also, you know, so in doing that, you are you're creating a living memory rather than an archive memory, which is sort of static. You're actually participant in this as an active player, constructing, taking apart, disassembling, assembling yourself, and preparing memory, a fresh memory. And doing that in a way that connects with the time and space that you're in, or the space, the energetic fields that you're in. That's really that. I'll leave that there. I mean, yeah.
Great. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.